This is a really exciting time because we're now in lesson 6, okay? We're about to come on to quiz number 2. Your next lesson is going to be your second quiz. Once we get past that second quiz, I'm going to introduce even more techniques that are going to really develop your ear, okay? But there's one thing that you absolutely have to do before you pass quiz number 2 and move on to the next lesson, to the next little part of this course. You have to make sure that you have gone through all 6 lessons and completed the dictations to the point where you can do them accurately, okay? Now, if you're memorizing what they look like, that's okay. I don't care if you memorize them. What I care about is that you write down the notes you're hearing by hand. Do not use a notation program. Do not use an external source to get the pitches. Don't cheat on this. At this point, if these are hard for you, I understand that. I know this is going to be a very challenging part for a lot of you, but it is so crucial to putting everything together and developing your ear. So I want you to write them by hand and make sure that you repeat each dictation until you can do it accurately. Because if you're skipping this at the end, you are not doing the ear training properly. You're missing a large component of this. So that's kind of my spiel on the whole, you've got to do your dictations. I know it's going to be the part that's hard for you, but I want you to challenge yourself. Really push yourself, okay? If this is challenging for you, just take your time, get through lesson 1 first. Just do the 4-part dictations, and that's it. If you can't do the 6-part dictations right now, when I mean part, I mean measures, then that's okay, okay? If you at least get the 4 measure dictations, you can go on to the next lesson that comes after quiz number 2. Otherwise, please don't go on because you're only hurting yourself, okay? So, to summarize, because this is really important, write the dictations by hand. Make sure that you repeat the 4 measure dictations until you can do them accurately, and try and memorize them to the best of your ability. Okay, those are the 3 things you really need to do with these dictations. And if you do that, you're going to see some progress here. Okay, let's do our chromatic scale. We won't always start on C, but right now I do want to start on C until we get past quiz number 2, because I want you to get used to what C sounds like. There's a method to my madness. So right now you're just going to listen. I'm going to count this off, and I'm just going to play it. 1, 2, ready, go. Now I'm going to give you a few beats. We're going to audiate it. I'm going to give you your starting pitch. So I'll count you off. 1, 2, audiate. Here's C. Did you end on the same pitch as me? I hope so. Let's go ahead and sing it now. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Do, di, re, mi, fa, fi, so, si, la, li, ti, do, ti. te, la, le, so, se, fa, mi, me, re, ra, do. Great, let's move right on. Okay, now we're getting into pitch immersion. It's going to be a little different this time. You're going to have the notes C4, D4, E4, G4, and A4. However, these also could be played an octave higher. C5, D5, E5, G5, and A5. So what we're listening for is we're trying to open up the ear now to hear what a C sounds like at different octaves. So let's say I play a C down here. That's your C4. Listen to the C an octave higher. It kind of has something similar to the quality of the C down here. You can kind of just tell it's an octave. So what if I go like this? That's a C4. What note is this? If you said D4, you're right. So played in the original octave, here's C4, here's D4. Now listen to it when I play the D4 an octave higher. It still kind of has that major second quality. I haven't taught you about intervals yet, but hopefully you know what a major second is. If not, no big deal. But you can tell that this sequence is similar somehow to this. Bum, bum. They're the same note, it's just an octave higher. So we're getting a little more tricky now. If you have to take this lesson a few times, no problem, we don't worry about that, remember? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Here are all your notes. Here's C4, D, E, G, and A. And again, they may be an octave higher. C, D, E, G, and A. You don't need to identify them by octave register, okay? That's not necessary for this, but I am going to give you the octave register this time. All right, so listen, here's your first one. Go ahead and audiate. Sing the note name. C4. Here's your next one. Audiate. Sing the note name. G4. Listen. Audiate. Sing the note name. D5. Listen. Audiate. Sing the note name. A4. Listen. Audiate. Sing the note name. E5. If that's too high for you, you can sing it down the octave down here. Remember, you always sing them in the range that is comfortable for you. You don't try and sing too far out of your range. You don't want to stretch your vocal cords. Here's the next one. Audiate. Sing the note name. D5. Here's your next one. Audiate. Sing the note name. G4. Audiate. Sing the note name. E4. Okay, now, if you're having any trouble with this, no problem, just repeat this again. The other thing is if you have a moderately trained ear and you're hearing C to D is a major second, and then you're hearing maybe D to A is a perfect fifth, and then A down to E is a perfect fourth there. That's okay. You're using relative pitch to identify these. I actually don't care how you identify these right now, because eventually you will get a feel for this is C, this is D, this is A, this is G, this is E, right? Eventually you'll just figure it out. But for now, use anything at your disposal except for a tuner or something that's allowing you to cheat to identify what these notes are. So if that's relative pitch, if it's perfect pitch, this is going to be easy for you. But if you have perfect pitch, just try and dive even deeper into the notes. I still want you to listen to these notes, because if you have perfect pitch, then we really need to develop your relative pitch. And so one of the ways to do that is to just kind of listen to these notes by themselves in the way that we're doing it. And maybe if you have perfect pitch, try not to think it's a C. Try to think, if I played a C and then I play an A, think of the interval between those two. C to A is a major 6. So that's one way you can benefit from these. You want to turn this into a relative pitch exercise, while everyone else is just trying to identify the note names by quality. Okay? Let's do the bass clef. Here's C, D, E, G3, and A3. And again, they could be an octave higher. They could be in the C4 register, which was the treble clef. C, D, E, G, A. So here's your C's. Here's D's, E, G, and A. Okay, here we go. Here's your C for reference. And here is your first pitch. Listen. Audiate. Sing the note name. G3. Audiate. Sing the note name. E3. Next one. Audiate. Sing the note name. D4. Audiate. Sing the note name. G3. Audiate. Sing the note name. C4. Audiate. Sing the note name. D4. Audiate. Sing the note name. A3. Audiate. Sing the note name. E4. Audiate. Sing the note name. D4. And last one. Audiate. Sing the note name. E3. Okay, so if you had any trouble with any of these, you just do it again. And I just want to emphasize one thing. So I don't always say listen, but you know that when I play a new note, you're listening, right? So then I'm going to ask you to audiate. Sometimes I'll ask you to audiate while the note is still going, and that's fine. So you'll just overlap a little bit. Sometimes I'll wait a few seconds, and then I'll ask you to audiate. So you should only audiate after I tell you to audiate. The other thing about audiation is I want you to make sure that when you audiate, you are trying to hear these notes in the octave register that I play them in. Then when you go on to the next step, when you sing it, that's when you sing it in a register that's comfortable for you. Okay, I just want to be very clear about that. This particular exercise is going to be just a little bit more difficult than the previous mirror exercises, and the reason for that is measure 7. So with all the previous ones, we had the C and the G, we'd unlock that using the rhythm in the upper line. In this one, we add a note that's not in the actual interval, so you actually have to hear that note yourself. So let's go ahead and practice measure 7 a little bit. It's going to sound like this. So that D repeats on the top. So go ahead and try and mentally hear this with me. 1 and 2 and 3 and go and. Okay, let's do it again. 1 and go and. Okay, one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and go and. Okay, let's add measure 7. Measure 8 to measure 7. We're going to start with measure 8 first. Here we go, there's your starting pitch. Try and mentally hear this, see if you get it right. 1 and 2 and. Try it again, measure 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and go and. Let's try and do measure 7 and measure 8 now. 7, here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's do measure 7 again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now while you're doing this, if you manage to get that D in measure 7, great. That's fantastic. If you don't let that stop you from moving on to the next exercise. That's perfectly fine. But if you are able to get that D, you're going to hear a little bit of tension against the C and the G. So let's go ahead and try that real quick. So here's measure 7. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, were you able to do it? Try it one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now let's go ahead and add measure 8 to it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, one more time, and then we're going to do the whole exercise. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, now let's try and do this whole thing. So once again, I'm going to try and teach you stuff as we go because it will help you in the long term. If you know how to read music, great. This is just kind of a review, and sorry about that. But for those of you that don't know, it's important that you kind of understand what we're doing here. So these are half notes. They're half notes because they're hollow in the center and they have a stem on the side. If there was no stem here, this would be a whole note, right? And it would be worth 4 beats. It'd take up the entire measure. A half note is worth half of a whole note, so it's only worth 2 beats. So then you also have quarter notes. Quarter notes are worth 1/4 of a whole note, so they're worth 1 beat each. So if I'm tapping my foot, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the quarter note. Half notes are half that speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then our eighth notes are going to be twice as fast as a quarter note. So this is your tempo. This is your eighth note. Bum, 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 bum. Okay? So let's go ahead and try this exercise. 1, 2, 3, and go, and. Let's try that one more time. And again, you can practice this a few more times if you need to. Here we go. 1, and 2, and from the beginning, go. Okay? Practice this again if you need to, but again, the mirror exercise is not something that you can really gauge your perfection on that easily. So as long as you are getting close to it, that's the important thing. The mirror exercise is just helping you break apart these intervals. And in measure 7, it's helping you imply that note D, which is basically the 5 of 5. But that's something else we'll talk about later. Okay, so now we're going to do pitch breakdown. So same as we've always done, I'm going to get right into it. Here is your first interval or chord. Let me know what it is. Sing the bottom note. Listen to the bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen to the top note. Alternate between the bottom and top note. Mentally, you're not singing. Okay, next one. Sing the bottom note. Listen to the bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen to the top note. Alternate. Sing the bottom note in your register. Listen to the bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen to the top note. Alternate. So I sing at that time to kind of show you what you're doing. All right, here's the next one. Sing the bottom note. Listen to the bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen for the top note. Alternate. Next one. Sing the bottom note. Listen to the bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen to the top note. Alternate. Okay. Sing the bottom note. Listen to the bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen to the top note. Alternate. bottom note. Listen to the bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen to the top note. Alternate. Sing the bottom note. Listen. Listen to the bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen to the top note. Alternate. Sing the bottom note. Listen to the bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen to the top note. Alternate. Sing the bottom note. Listen to the bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen to the top note. Alternate. Sing the bottom note. Listen to the bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen to the top note. Alternate. Sing the bottom note. Listen to that bottom note. Sing the top note. Listen to that top note. Alternate. Okay, once you get past quiz 2, this particular exercise, it becomes a little bit more automated, and it's going to be a lot of fun because in all this white space here, first of all, that white space is going to turn a different color, and you're going to see what I'm actually playing. So it's going to be a lot of fun, but we're waiting for that because I don't want to introduce that right away. Again, everything I'm doing here is carefully thought out because I've been doing this officially for 7 years teaching university, but I've also been doing it much longer than that. I mean, it goes back to when I was in high school. I always enjoyed creating these programs for myself to try and train my musicianship. So you're getting a lot of experience in these, and so it's going to be a lot of fun as we slowly start to morph these into more and more advanced exercises. So let's move on to the next one. Interval or chord. So we have a few different chords here. We have C4, D4, E4, G4, and A4. And we also have their intervals. So C4, D4, E4, G4, and A4. Now, what I want you to do this time, and it's okay if you get the note wrong, but I want you to make an attempt at identifying what the root of the chord or interval is. So the root is the lowest note. So if we look at C4, this is the root. It's a C. This is the root. It's a D. The root here is E, G, and A. So you're going to identify these by the root now. Okay? So here is your C4. These are going to go all over the place. It's going to be in the bass clef and the treble. This will be very hard for some of you. The important thing here in order to pass this drill is simply identify, is it an interval or is it a chord? If you get that correct, you can move on. If you don't get the note names, that's not a problem, but I do want you to attempt it. So here's your C for reference. Here's a C major chord. This is your first interval or chord. Here we go. That is D3, and it is an interval. How about this one? That is A4, it is a chord. I know some of you are thinking, this is crazy, I can't identify these notes. You will one day. That is C3, it is a chord. That is G4, it is an interval. That is G3, it is an interval. Did you get that one right? How about the next one? That is D4, it is a chord. That is C4, it is an interval. That is C3, it is an interval. That is C3, it is a chord. That is D4, it is an interval. That is E4, it is a chord. This is a tough one. That is A2, it is a chord. That is D3, it is a chord. That is C4, it is an interval. D3, it is a chord. E4, it is an interval. D4, it is an interval. G3, it is a chord. E4, it is a chord. D3, it is an interval. D4, it is a chord. C3, it is an interval. A4, it is a chord. G3, it is an interval. Okay, so it's very unlikely that very many of you pass this the first time. So I'd like you to take this a few more times. Take it at least 2 times, unless you got everything right. You got the octave register, the chord name, and whether it was a chord or an interval. If you did that, move on. There's no reason to do this again. If you did not, at least try this 2 times, and do not move on unless you are able to correctly identify whether it's a chord or an interval. That's still what we're looking for. If you get the note names, it's a bonus, but I still want you to do it at least twice unless you get all the note names perfect, okay? And this is just gonna prime you for actually being able to do this correctly later, but we're not worrying about doing that correctly yet. It's much later where we actually say, okay, now you're responsible for this. Okay, now we're doing pitch notation. So the first attempt, I want you to just try and memorize it. The second attempt, we're gonna audiate it. And then we're gonna do a third attempt with audiation, and I'll address how we're gonna do that later. And then we're gonna go on to the notation. So you could have any of the notes here in the treble clef for the first one. Again, please try the 4 measure dictations Do them until you get them right. If you skip the 6 measures, I can understand it. But do the 4 measures right now, because eventually what will happen is the 4 measures will become easy, and then you'll naturally want to go on to the 6 measure, because you're just going to be so excited about your progress, right? All right, so here is your C4, D4, E4, G4, A4. And here's your C5, D5, E5, G5, and A5. Here we go. Just listen right now and memorize it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's audiate. Now, when I play this, I'm going to play it with you. So you're going to audiate it, and I'm going to give you the notes so you can audiate along with me. Here we go. 1, 2, audiate. Okay, now we're going to audiate it one more time. I'm not going to play any of the pitches for you. Here's your starting pitch. 1, 2, ready, audiate. Great, now let's notate it. Here's your C4. Here's your starting pitch. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, go ahead and pause it to notate this if you need to, and then we're going to go on to the bass clef. Okay, hopefully you notated it. Bass clef. One change here. You are going to use the notes here and potentially the notes here. There is one extra note. You see where this red marker is, this little laser pointer? That is actually an A2. There is an A2 in this. It's in measure 1 and it's on beat 3. So I'm giving you that because it's not notated here. So you'll put a little circle here on beat 3. It's going to be a half note. Okay? So here are the rest of your notes. Here's your A3, your A2. This is your C3, D3, E3, G3, A3. And here's your C4, D4, E4, G4, and A4. A little more complicated, but again, you're just going to try and listen the first time, memorize it, then we'll audiate it twice, and then you'll notate it. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. I know, some of you are saying you're crazy, I can't do this. You can, you just need to practice. You need to do this a few more times, you'll get it. Let's go ahead and try and audiate it while I play along. 1, 2, here we go. Audiate again. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, let's go ahead and notate it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to show you the answer. I'm going to play through it. If you got it wrong, just do it again. Of course, you will memorize this. That's fine. I have to keep saying that because it's important. All right, here we go. Here's your answer. Let's go and play number 1. Just sing along. Try and sing with fixed do solfege. I'll sing with you. 1, 2, ready, go. Do, re, mi, re, la, so, do. Don't write in your solfege. Just try and memorize it. One more time. I won't sing this time. 1, 2, sing along. Okay, why are we using fixed do? We're using fixed do very quickly because I want you to know that do is C. So if you sing do, you'll be singing a C. I want it to be consistent. D will be re, E will always be me. Okay, you'll get very familiar with the syllables. Solfege, I know movable do can be helpful for the lower levels, but for our purposes, we're trying to train you to a more advanced level. We need to use fixed do because what happens when you have something like this? You've got a lot of different solfege there to deal with. Where's the tonic even? Nobody knows, right? So we need to be using fixed do because it makes singing melodies like that easier. Okay? So here's your second one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and sing it one more time, starting on mi and going down to la. 1, 2, 3, 4. Six measures. This is a challenging one. If you can do it, great. If you need to stop now, I know this is a longer lesson because we're introducing new ideas, but this is going to be a good one for you. So same note names. Here's your C, D, E, G, A. And we're going to use the octave equivalents as well. All right, so your first note, I'm going to give it to you. It starts on a G. So let's go ahead and memorize it first. So don't worry about the note names, just memorize. 1, we're going to take it faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so maybe you noticed the only leaps in here are perfect fifths. Otherwise, it's all stepwise. Okay, so knowing that, let's go ahead and audiate it. I'll play along with you. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, now let's go ahead and audiate one more time. I won't play it this time. Here's your starting pitch. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, let's go ahead and notate it. That's your G. 1, 2, ready, go. Pause the recording if you need to. Go ahead and notate it. Okay, we're moving on to the bass clef now. We're starting this one on a C3. So first just try and memorize it. 1, 2, ready, go. I'm going to try that one more time because it didn't sound very well. Let's do it again. 1, 2, Just listen. Audiate, 2, ready, go. Yeah, so all of these, it goes without saying, we're working on the perfect fifth. If you have a leap, it's a perfect fifth. It's not a fourth, a third, it's nothing other than a perfect fifth. So that's one way to kind of help you to hear these notes at first, okay? So let's go ahead and notate it. Well, let's audiate it one more time. I'm not going to play it this time. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, let's go ahead and play it. Notate it. Here we go. C3. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, pause it if you need to. We're going to go on. I'm going to give you the answers. Okay, let's go ahead and sing through this in solfege if you can. Try and find an octave register that works for you. If not, you may have to move some of the octaves down or up. So do your best with this. Try and find an octave that fits your range though. And if you can't sing it, that's okay. Just audiate it. If it's way out of your range, don't force it. What you can do is you can audiate the solfege. Okay? Here we go. Starting on sol. 1, 2, 1, go. Let's do the bass clef. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, so yeah, this is a longer lesson, but it's really the end of kind of a series of techniques that we're going to really double down on after quiz number 2. So this was a big lesson to prepare you for quiz number 2. It's going to be kind of a big quiz. And when you come back after quiz number 2, it's going to be so worth it. Don't cheat. Make sure you do these dictations. Work through these. You're going to see the benefits that you want, but only if you put in the effort. And by effort, you simply have to come back every day. You have to make an attempt to notate these every day. Even if notation just completely boggling your mind, you don't understand the spatial reasoning. Go ahead and look at what I've written here. Make sure your score matches it. If you get it wrong, copy what I've written here in the answers. And then what you'll find is that you will eventually learn how to notate. But we're taking a really relaxed approach since I'm giving you so many lessons. You know, if you have to copy me the first time, fine. You memorize it, great, you're ready to move on. But don't move on until you've memorized it. And I really prefer you do the 4 measure and the 6 measure dictations. But if you're only doing the 4, that's okay for now, okay? You'll eventually find the 4 is too easy and you'll go on to the 6. Okay, great. So let me know if you have any questions. I want to know how you're doing, so please let me know in the